Hi HR Nation, it's Chris Rainey. Welcome to HR Leaders, the show where we interview today's most successful and innovative HR practitioners 5 days a week. Today's guest is Jitka Schmiedova. Jitka is the Chief HR Officer for NN Group. Jitka, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you very much, Chris, for the invitation. This is my happy hour. The day has been very busy, so being here with you and with our listeners, I'm really fine. Thanks.
Amazing. Jitka, fill in the gaps. Tell our listeners a little bit more about yourself and your journey to becoming the CHRO at NN Group.
Well, I'll try to cut the whole story short. Well, I'm 52. I come from Prague, the Czech Republic by origin. I never studied HR. Actually, I was born in 1965, and in the 90s, I was lucky to, let's say, build representation of many Western companies in the former Czechoslovakia, and I learned business along the way. And you know, in one big company, it was a Norwegian company, we became so big after a lot of acquisitions that the managing director asked me to become an HR manager in 1998. I didn't know what it was, but I took the opportunity. And since 1998, I've been fully in HR management. How did I start, or how did I end up in The Hague in NN? Well, I was open to further opportunities after many years in the banking industry and Erste Group in Vienna. I was talking to different companies, and then I felt the biggest click with NN Group, NN Investment Partners in specific, when it comes to the company culture, when it comes to the company direction, the CEO, the new board, and my mission. And I was the lucky candidate to get this job. So I started on the 10th of July of this year. I've been here for 3 months now, and it's very, very exciting.
Fantastic, very interesting. So why HR? How did they grab your attention? What compelled you to pursue a career in HR?
Well, you know, that's a mystery to me too. But,
and me too, right? I never thought I was going to be speaking with HR leaders every day. Yeah.
I think the way it happened is the following. As I told you, I was having different functions in business firms, and part of the function was also to do hiring and firing and developing people and paying people and discussing their issues. And later on, I learned, well, that's HR, it's a part of HR. And probably because I was gifted more than others to listen to people and to be attentive to their issues and show some empathy, and combined with my execution skills, I think that brought me on the radar of the managing director for the HR function. So I'm a combination of soft skills and hard skills, and I think that was the cocktail. But still, you know, it's only my guess. I don't know why they picked me.
Well, clearly it was a good fit, right? So it all worked out the best. So as the CHRO of the organization, what really sort of occupies your mind on a day-to-day basis?
Well, as I said, I've been in this function for 3 months only, and I'm still in a steep learning curve, because on the one hand, I hold a board position for NN Investment Partners in a new board team, which is responsible for coming up with an ambition 2022 to turn this company around to arrange further growth of this company, which is not easy on the constantly changing asset management market. So that's one mission. Secondly, I'm here as an HR manager to transform HR from a service admin-oriented team to strong, long-term, value-adding business partners. And my third role is I work also as a member in the global HR management team of NN Group, and I'm supposed to help make the global HR function more efficient and more value-adding to the business units of NN Group. So I have 3 missions. So you can imagine that I'm really busy and figuring out what my priorities are and how do I deliver.
That was going to be my next question. How it has a lot of work, a lot
of
different hats to wear then. So yeah. Could you share perhaps one of your projects or transformations that you've been through that you're most proud of? That could be within your current role. Obviously it's 3 months, but in your future roles, in your past roles that you could share with our listeners.
Yeah, well, proud. I don't know if I'm proud of anything because I find myself a constant learner. But in 1998 that's the time when I took up the HR role. But in 2007, let's say some 10 years later, I was assigned on a mission in Erste Bank, which is a European financial group,
Mm-hmm.
to transform HR function from transactional to HR business partners. That was a very tough job. I had 150 people on the team, which I directly managed, and to take these people in the year 2007 through this transformation was one hell of a journey. The project was successful after the 2 years. We worked together with Deloitte on it. And yeah, well, maybe this is something I'm proud of because the team is still there, and it's different people, but the model is there. It's recognized by the board. It's recognized as value adding by the business managers, and this is something we managed. We managed in the end. It was not easy, but we achieved it.
So, what were some of the sort of challenges you faced on that journey?
There were many. Well, first of all, clarify the expectations with the key stakeholders, which was the board. The CEO definitely wanted me to do that. I wasn't sure if other board members really genuinely wanted HR to transform, because to go through such a thing, you have to have the support from the top management. They have to be aligned, otherwise you're not set for success. So this one was one of the biggest challenges. The second one was the people resistance. Of course, people are resistant to change in general, but the traditional HR employees were really, really resistant to learn new skills or to give up their job or to be differently organized, have a different location, different leader, do things simply differently. The human resistance to change was a huge obstacle. And then the third complicating factor, which was big school to me, was this, I would call it gaming. Yeah? Many people tell you, yes, I'm on it. I love the vision. They declare it.
And then they don't action it, right?
and then in reality, you soon discover this is not the case. And if it happens in the management team of HR, you do have an issue.
So what were some of the things that you did to engage both the leadership team and those employees that were sort of in the middle?
Well, only today I know it's called fashionably leadership, but so I achieved it through diligent leadership, which was constant communication to people, to managers and to employees about why we're going to change, how will the journey look like, what's in it for them, what is it that I will do, what is it that I expect from them. And I was continuously updating them on the progress. The more you communicate to people, the more, let's say, they create a world which is more based on a likely truth rather than myths, which they create if they don't know. So it was communication, and then in the process of dismissals or changes of the jobs or redundancies, I tried to be professional, polite, and fair to the people, and I was empathetic to their emotions. I knew this was coming, so I tried to be professional to everybody. They do not appreciate it within the change, but they do appreciate it afterwards when they are out and experience other treatment by other companies/leaders. Mm-hmm. So my recipe is open communication, transparency, no matter how much it hurts you or the people. Simply put yourself out on the stage and let people ask, let people challenge you, let people disagree. And then the second recipe is that I involved those who believed in the change and who wanted to go on that journey. I involved them in co-creation as much as possible of the new world. Mm-hmm. The direct involvement makes people feel important. They like the outcome a lot more because they can see also their contribution in it and their ideas. So for them, the new world is more believable and they like it more. Yeah?
Yeah, of course. So how did you sort of identify those champions of change within the organization?
Well, we're talking about HR organization, right? Mm-hmm. Well, in the first place, I had individual interviews with the people, and I don't know, I'm told by psychologists all the time that my intuition, my gut feel is very, very strong, and that I should listen to it more than I do. In the past times, intuition was more or less a forbidden word because we needed to have facts and figures for everything. But later on, when intuition was more allowed or supported, I actually knew more or less during the discussion if the person really means it or tries to fool me. That was my that was my first identification, and then I identified the champions um, when they were assigned to concrete jobs, to concrete tasks or projects. You could immediately see if it's engaging for them or not, if they jump on the various tasks and they have shiny eyes or not. And then and then when we had the new operating model available, we had actually a selection process opened, and people who felt they would be suitable candidates, they could have, they competed for the various jobs. And then I was not alone. We were many more people on the selection team, and we had prepared questions and also role plays. And I think we were more able to judge if the people are suitable or not suitable for the new jobs, given their behavior, mindset, attitude, thinking, but also given their skills and profiles and experience.
Fantastic. So as you can imagine, within our community, many of the members are going through large scale change,
Yes.
like you guys. Sort of looking back on that experience, what advice would you give to other senior HR leaders that are currently going through that change, or will be going through change very soon within your organizations?
Well, if any advice, then first of all, after all those lessons learned, I would strongly recommend to clarify the expectations with the key stakeholders, with the management teams, being the board or the group, HR directors, whoever it is. Go back and revisit and rediscuss. Really be sure that those who assign you on the mission know what they want and that they are aligned around it and that they support you. That's my biggest learning, I think. Second recommendation would be go for it if you are the right person. It means if you have a lot of courage, if you have the stomach for it, because there are many moments when it gets really tough. Sometimes you are so alone on this mission that you simply don't like it.
Yeah.
And then it is about don't give up when the going gets tough. Hang in there. Find supporters, champions, ambassadors as soon as you can. Go out to the business, liaise with business managers so that they can speak positively about what you do. Do not stay locked inside HR, because then your chance for success is unnecessarily limited. Get out there.
Fantastic. I think one of the guests I had recently went so far to say you have to be willing to risk your job.
Yes. Yeah, actually,
and it's very honest.
Yes.
But that's the truth.
It is. I would sign it 100 times. Often, the leaders who manage such a change have to leave afterwards. Even though the change was successful, they have to leave afterwards, or their job is so different that they go and do something else. And that was my case as well.
It was quite shocking to hear, but then when you look back at it, is just brutal honesty of the situation.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, you see that it takes quite a confident person, or not. You have to very much understand yourself well enough to that's actually going to be the situation. And with people with families and mortgages and all the things that you guys have in the background, let's not forget about that. It's certainly not easy. So I definitely have a newfound respect for leaders going through that change.
Now, that's a very, very good comment. And maybe now you have formulated the advice yourself. Don't go through big change if you are a security person. If you will lose your sleep because of your bills, family and children's education and whatever, you are really successful driving huge risky change if you are free, completely free in your mind, if you are physically and mentally ready, and you don't care about your own chair.
You're just looking at it objectively without the other emotions coming into play. So that makes perfect sense.
Yes.
So where we are now, I mean, I'm sure you've seen it. There's been such a huge shift in terms of the skill requirement for HR. You know, we've obviously, you know, the new digital buzzword that everyone's talking about. What skills do you believe will be more important in HR moving forward?
Well, I can already see it in my existing team here in The Hague. You know, more and more large organizations adopt systems which are less or more flexible. For example, NN company has introduced Workday, and Workday is a system, modular system, which is meant to standardize and simplify your work. So you need people who are able to learn Workday and transfer the various jobs into into these let's say modules. And already that is quite something, because you know, companies invest a lot of money into Workdays or success factors or SAPs or what have you, and then don't use it. It's not cheap, that they don't use it, or there are many workarounds, or they try to bend it, you know.
Yeah.
So that's and make it complicated again. So that's one thing. But the other thing which I see more and more of is, you know, how to be present in the digital world of social networks. There are, it's not only LinkedIn. When I see the younger generation, even younger than you, it's people who are born with the various gadgets, you know, in their hands, and their communication and engagement happens in the virtual environment. Of course, that has its risks as well, because when people see each other face to face and should communicate personally, it's not that easy for them. But for companies and HR resources, for example, or market researchers, it's more and more necessary to be able to attract people, you know, in this virtual social network environment. And it goes also for leaders. I should also be much more active on the social networks, you know, and present the company and myself to people out there, so that you know, we increase our chances to hire the right people.
Yeah.
And then the big theme also for HR is robotization. Whenever I say this word, HR people almost kill me, because they think that a robot will,
it's going to replace the, it's the common, you know, this conversation's been going on for the last 10 years.
Yes.
You know, it's obviously now it's actually becoming a reality. Oh, it's actually, it's actually happening. It's not becoming a reality. It's happening.
It's happening more and more.
Yeah, we're at the beginning, I think, of the journey. And just to touch on the point you made a moment ago, I think if you're a business now and you're not reaching out to new employees through a mobile first world, then you're definitely going to lose. As you said, you only need to look around you on the way to work, on the train for me, to see how people are interacting. And I was actually speaking with the chief HR officer of Nestle Purina, and he had a workshop a few weeks ago for Snapchat with his senior HR team. And I found that correct. I was completely surprised. He's like, yeah, we're educating our senior leaders and our recruitment team how Snapchat works and how you can use Snapchat to reach out to the younger generation who are future employees. So it's quite, you know, you'd never think that would be a conversation, would you? It would be, you know, see what I mean? And
yes,
also,
I do. And now it's happening.
Yeah. And then even he said, what's the best way that you communicate with your senior leadership team? And they said, WhatsApp. You know, they have multiple groups in WhatsApp, and that's now how they communicate.
And of course, this is something I have to confirm. You know, for example, the global HR management team I just spoke about, I'm a member of. We have a WhatsApp community, and who is not on it is simply out of the teams or misses a lot from the team dynamic. So WhatsApp is something that is part of my daily life for sure. But if you ask about the digital skills in HR, it is also, for example, the various apps for smartphones. You know, we as companies walk away from those engagement surveys we throw on the people and organizations every 2 years, and then we employ lots of teams to analyze it. Now it's about receiving online feedback from people in the company through a playful WhatsApp in a smartphone, you know, so that we can measure the temperature and the climate and the mood in the company online and not looking backwards.
Exactly. And it's also about the adoption, right? You're going to get much more people respond through the mobile world.
Yes.
You know, some people that I'm speaking
Yeah.
to still have internal systems, sort of websites.
Yeah.
No one's really
It's
going to,
boring.
yeah, no one's really going to go onto an internal system
That's
and
right.
sort of log in and find the right place and then post your feedback. Whereas if
Mm.
it's in the app, and this, you know, gamification is a big part of that now.
Yes.
And making
Yes, it
sure
is.
that's it. We had a session last week with the HR director of IBM, and
Mm-hmm.
gamification and how they're utilizing that to engage employees, and the results are absolutely incredible, of the work that they're doing as well. And I think also it's you want to use those apps to be predictive, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
That's right.
predictive analytics is where we're going now. So you want to be able to see those trends to be able to
Mm.
react accordingly, which is
That, yeah.
so powerful for
Yeah,
HR.
absolutely.
So how are
And
you
you
guys
know,
preparing for that? How are you guys
well,
preparing for that?
that's a very good question. You're already talking about predictive analytics, but most of HR teams, including my new team here in The Hague, is struggling with efficient current people analytics to bring some intelligence into storytelling to business about people issues that we can see through figures.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing is, you know, we sit on so much data produced by our systems, by the various apps, that okay, we report static data backwards, but the art is how do we see through the data? How do we analyze it so that first of all we can say what's going on now and what's the prediction? Yeah, exactly. How do we prepare? Well, first of all, I'm taking some baby steps here in the current company in this area, and that is raise awareness about the issue as such. Many people are not aware that reporting is not enough anymore. Passive reporting looking backwards. So
Mm-hmm.
raising awareness. Why do we need it? Why do we need to change? What will it be good for? And then secondly, it is about hiring the right talent, because often we do not have the people with the skills, the digital
Yes.
skills, or
Yes.
the next layer of people, not only the reporters and analysts, but people who can add another dimension to the figures, because
Mm-hmm.
figures are a certain language, you know, the figures speak. So these people are now more and more scarce on the market. I'm now looking into universities, into students who are very talented and could be the next generation. So that's what I'm considering now, yeah, for the
Yeah.
team that I manage today.
It's a completely different landscape now, isn't it? There's
Yes, it is.
so many HR leaders I speak to now are bringing in um, leaders into their team with no HR background whatsoever.
Yes.
From a technology, it's
Yes.
easy to, you cannot retrain a HR. In my mind, I think it's very difficult to retrain a traditional HR leader to be, you know, a programmer or to
Next to
understand.
impossible.
Yeah, it's just not. Whereas you can actually bring in someone with the technical skill set, and then they
Yeah.
can understand the context of the
Mm.
business and then apply that, right?
You are very right.
Yeah. How have you managed that dynamic between that new shift, but also having employees in your team who have been
Mm.
doing HR the same way for so
Mm.
long?
Mm. Good question. Well, this is something I've been practicing for many years now. Well, first of all, I'm a strong believer in diversity, in all kinds of diversity, backgrounds, age, gender, thought, nationality, color. Because, you know, if you have diversity of thought in the team / experience, you can really manage all the various colors you have in the company, your business needs. Or your clients need. So I normally identify first what is the business that we do as a company, how does it look like out on the market, what is the company plan, what are our priorities in business, and then I think about what are the priorities for HR? How do we respond to the business needs? And do I have the necessary capabilities on the team? Are we organized in the most efficient way to deliver what the business needs? So this is the primary exercise I do. After I sort it out myself or together with the HR management team, I openly share it with the team. I normally run a few workshops, informal sessions, sitting on fat boys, going out to the forest, you know, just sharing with the team how does it look like out there, and is it a good idea to stay the HR we have always been, traditional or not? And people figure out themselves that there is need
Yeah,
to change.
that's a good idea. Rather than saying that this is what we're doing, let people come to their own conclusion, right?
Yeah. So if I provide them with the broader context, they normally answer it themselves. Okay, this is not a sustainable way of doing things in HR. And then I normally involve people in creating our new vision. Okay, so if this is not good enough anymore, why do we have to change? Then whom are we going to be? What's going to be our new identity in a 3 to 5 years horizon, and why? And then we develop a strategy together. How do we achieve the new identity? How do we get there? And then there is an action plan every year, broken down to details with clearly assigned owners. So this is my recipe, everywhere, no matter where I am. And so far it has worked very well everywhere. It's just that in each and every company, culture, country, your recipe is slightly differently mixed in terms of how much of each ingredient you you involve. Yeah.
No, of course. There's never a one size fits all.
No, it's not.
That's also one of the biggest challenges, right, in a global business.
Yeah.
Is having that approach for every single person, and also the impact of the change is completely different across different areas as well. So
that's right.
People need to understand how it impacts them and what their involvement is. In that process as well, which is very, very difficult. So you mentioned about the business needs, and of course how you're working with the team to help the business deliver on those opportunities. Where do you see the biggest opportunity for improvement in the business, and how are you currently helping the organization get there?
Yeah, okay. If we're talking about the specific business I am in right now, the asset management business.
Yes.
Well, after the 3 months that I've been here, I can see that we have to become a much more active asset manager in terms of not applying the traditional methods of supporting, serving our clients and generating profits. It's not enough anymore. There are so many competitors, so many new regulations, digitization, that if we continue doing it the old way, we will not be successful on the long run. So the business, well, first of all, we need to bring the right leaders into the positions in the company we manage here today, because in asset management you primarily have expert managers in the driving seats, not actually people leaders so much.
Yes.
Because
they don't sometimes may not make the best leader despite being an expert in their field, right? So very different.
Exactly. And this is no criticism, because within the last 10 or 15 years the business was doing very well with expert managers mostly. But now we need to drive so many changes that we need to select the right leaders, people leaders, change leaders. We have to change the way we manage costs. We have to change the way we managed our product development, the solutions for the clients, the way we combine machines with people. That's the digital trend. The way we, let's say, make choices about which products we continue with or newly develop, and which we stop, and which geographies we are in and which we are not in. So I think the biggest challenge for our business is to make choices. Throughout the last 10 or 15 or maybe even 20 years, we have grown into a very complex organization, with lots of products, services, locations. We are a robust head office. This is not a sustainable model anymore. So I think a very tough exercise which is ahead of us is to go through the stop, start, continue exercise.
So definitely going to be it was a lot for me even to take in there, and I'm not even the one that has to do the work. So, certainly commend you for that. So a huge part of what you're doing basically now is recruiting the right people to putting those leadership positions to help drive that change.
That's right, because again, traditionally we were assessing people backwards. We were always looking in our performance management systems to the past year, and then we rated people, ranked them, and that was the way we've been working. Newly, we have to define what is the talent, what is the fit for the future talent. And then we have to assess our people against that profile, the existing people, give an opportunity to those who have a good potential, but also bring in new new wind, new fresh blood, to drive the new times.
Mm. What are some of the things that you're doing to attract these guys? Do you feel like you have a strong enough brand to attract this obviously is such a small talent pool that we're talking about, especially if you talk about digital. What are you guys doing to attract that talent to the business? You mentioned university as one avenue. Get them while they're young. make an impression there, of course. What other things are you guys doing to attract that talent to the business?
Well, I have to say that we have quite a powerful traineeship program for 2 years, which we are upgrading now also to combine with the NN Group brand to make it even more powerful and more efficient. So traineeships, that's one way how to attract talent. But then I have to say I'm pleasantly surprised that in the Dutch market, we are actually quite attractive because, we are quite known. There is a personal network, everybody knows somebody. So we're able to, let's say, offer competitive jobs and packages on the Dutch market. Where the situation is worse, and it's a nice challenge for HR, is our international markets. I cannot say we are in the same situation in London or in Japan or in New York or in Switzerland. So I think there it's a challenge. How do we attract people who are affordable and still, top notch of the market? So I don't have the answer yet after the short time, but that's
3 months. I don't blame you.
Thanks. At least somebody doesn't.
That's all right. 3 months. You can't work miracles. One step at a time. One step at a time.
Thanks.
Well, look, I think that leads us quite nicely on to the quick fire round. So I'm going to ask you a few questions, but you have no longer than 30 seconds to give us some amazing answers. Are you ready?
Well, let's see. What
was the number one thing that was holding you back from becoming a CHRO or a senior HR leader within the business?
Being afraid, fear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's probably the number one, really, of everyone. What's the best piece of business advice you've ever received?
Change it, love it, or leave it.
Oh, nice. What's one book that you'd recommend to our audience and why?
Simon Sinek. I've heard that pronunciation too. The book is called Together is Better. Mm-hmm. It's not a book as a book. There are many nice credos, slogans, very, very powerful messages how to explain to people why together is better.
Fantastic. And could you share one internet resource that you use to increase your own productivity or stay in tune with current events?
Well, it's a tool called My Analytics. Some of you may know it. I currently use it to increase my productivity. When I look on Mondays, what I spent my last week on, I'm petrified by the figures, and it definitely triggers my thinking. How do I manage my time better?
So how does that work? I've never heard of that one, actually. How does that work?
It's probably part of the system here. I still don't know. Every Monday morning, I receive a report how much time last week I spent in emails, in meetings, or in focus areas. Right. It's categorized, and I can compare it with thinking, okay, what is my job? Why have I been hired? What is it that I should achieve here? Does my weekly pattern support this mission best? Yes or no? So I can change the way I work.
Very, very interesting. That's certainly one that I've not come across before. What's one thing about your business that most excites you today?
About the business itself, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, the business is asset management. I'm still learning it, but what excites me is how much we can do for our institutional and individual clients in terms of managing their money or their property we have been entrusted with. How much better lives we can make for them. I never knew it could be so powerful.
Certainly a very good enough cause, right, to get you out of bed in the morning.
That's right.
Well, look, that's fantastic. You've given us some great actionable advice, so I certainly know our members will be a lot better off for it. Give our listeners one parting piece of guidance and also the best way to get in contact with you if they have any questions. Okay, piece of guidance. I don't know. I'll share with you what is my everyday thought every morning. Do what you can with what you have every day where you are, and the future will take care of itself. Fantastic.
And how to best connect with me? Well, I'm on LinkedIn. So probably that's the most efficient way. And I do look into it from time to time. And then, if you look at web pages of NN Investment Partners, I am there as well, mentioned in the board of the company. So we can get in touch. And there is my email, I think also the telephone, or there. So it's LinkedIn or the NN web pages.
Fantastic. Well, look, thank you very much for taking the time to join us. Really appreciate that. Guys, make sure you head over to hrdleaders.com. There you'll find all of the show notes from the episode, everything we've been talking about, all of the links to any of the resources. Thank you again for sharing your journey with us. And I wish you all the best in your journey. It's 3 months you just started. So I look forward to catching up with you in 12 months' time to see where we are.
Thank you very much, Chris, for having me, for this great opportunity and for very, very good questions. I'll be happy to meet you one day and learn more about this community.
Well, I'm sure I'll be seeing you soon when you join us on the project. So we'll all be seeing each other soon. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. Thank you.